We have absolutely all been there. You're incredibly thirsty on a blazing hot day. You take a big sip of freshly made lemonade and, ugh, it's totally watered down. It is a minor tragedy, right? Well, fixing that watery mess isn't just about tossing in more powder. It's actually a masterclass in pure physics and chemistry. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are completely skipping the basic recipe, and instead, we're going to crack the chemical code of aqueous solutions. Let's dive right in. Okay, let's dive into this lemonade dilemma. Imagine you lost the directions for the mix, so you're just eyeballing the measurements for a fresh batch. You take a sip, and yeah, it's super weak, completely lacking punch. So what are your options here? To fix this systematically, we really need to stop looking at that pitcher as just a drink and start treating it as a dynamic chemical system.
A perfectly made pitcher of lemonade is what we in science call an aqueous solution. As a quick refresher, that basically means our mixture has achieved absolute total uniformity. It's not just powder floating around in a liquid. The particles are distributed so perfectly evenly among each other that literally every single drop in that pitcher shares the exact same properties.
Now, to actually hack this system, we need to look at the building blocks. First up is our solute. In chemistry terms, the solute is simply the substance that's being dissolved. So in our highly relatable lemonade problem, that sweet, sugary, powdered mix is our solute.
And the second building block? That's the solvent, which is the substance doing the dissolving. Because we are dealing with an quote-unquote aqueous solution, our solvent is, you guessed it, water. We're essentially introducing our powdered solute into our watery solvent to force them to bond together.
And this brilliantly illustrates what happens when that bond is completely successful. The properties of the whole thing change. In a true solution, it appears to be just one single substance. The particles are perfectly evenly distributed. They will absolutely never settle out at the bottom over time. And get this, you can't even remove them by filtering. Like running it through a coffee filter wouldn't do a thing. The molecules are essentially locked together.
But just mixing a powder into water doesn't automatically guarantee you're getting a true solution. For example, think about mixing standard table salt into water versus mixing gelatin into water. The salt creates a perfect true solution, but the gelatin, that merely creates a non-solution mixture. To the naked eye, they both just look like standard clearish liquids. So how in the world do we actually prove the difference?
Well, this brings us to a wildly fascinating piece of physics known as the Tyndall effect. It's basically a way of using a beam of light to uncover invisible particles. See, because the particles in a true solution are incredibly tiny, we're talking individual molecules or ions here, they interact with light entirely differently than the slightly larger clusters of particles hanging out in a standard non-solution mixture. And this gives us a brilliant, super easy visual diagnostic test.
You can actually test this yourself with just a simple flashlight. The setup is super straightforward. Step 1, you just mix a spoonful of whatever substance you're testing into a clear plastic cup of water. Then, step 2, you hold a flashlight right up to the side of the cup and shine the light directly through the mixture. Obviously, if you're doing this in a real lab setting, remember to follow your basic safety procedures. And you can test all sorts of common lab powders with this trick. Flour, Epsom salts, baking soda, alum, normal salt, sugar, baking powder, even cornstarch. The results are immediate. If the light beam goes straight through completely invisibly, boom, you have a true solution. The particles are just way too small to reflect the light. But if that beam scatters and you can actually see the beam of light inside the water, you're looking at a standard mixture. Those larger particles are essentially acting like millions of microscopic mirrors bouncing the light around.
All right, let's move to and see how this builds back to our initial lemonade dilemma. We know our sad, weak drink is technically an aqueous solution, but the molecular distribution is, well, it's heavily skewed. The core problem is we have way too much solvent and nowhere near enough solute.
So the scientific fix here is manipulating the concentration. Concentration is basically how we increase the strength of a solution by adding more solute relative to the solvent. To bump up that flavor and save our drink, we literally just need to pack more flavor molecules into that exact same volume of water. We do that by scooping in more of our powdered solute. Simple, right? Now, conversely, if we had gone crazy and overpoured the powder originally, making it way too strong, we would use dilution. That's decreasing the strength of the solution by adding more of the solvent. It pushes those flavor molecules further apart. But since our specific problem today is weak lemonade, adding more water, more solvent, would just dilute it further and spread our already limited flavor molecules even thinner, which would just be awful.
So by mastering concentration and molecular distribution, the lemonade is officially saved. But this whole dynamic goes way beyond the kitchen. It literally governs the oceans, how our medications work, and even the chemistry of our very own bloodstream. So I'll leave you with this. Next time you're mixing up a drink, maybe your morning coffee or a gym protein shake, ask yourself, are you actually engineering a molecularly bound true solution, or is it just a temporary mixture? Grab a flashlight and find out.